Hello and welcome to another tutorial. Today we are going to learn how to use variables for assisted history matching in Navigator. We will do it in a case study. So the case is we were given a model and the model is already been run with the parameters. I'll explain what the model contains first and what we are going to do with the history matching. So the model has has this kind of look, and then it has an aquifer to aquifer, as we can see here, and then it also has some regions. So we have 5 saturation regions or satnams. Okay, so we can see here, and 2 fluid in place numbers. And then here's the active number of the model. As you can see here, not very much is active in terms of the whole model. So, and the model has 5 relative permeability types in terms of the saturation region. And then the relative permeability is based on the LET model, as you can see here. So the parameters are LET permeabilities and 2 equilibration data, as we can see here, because there are 2 fluid in place number. So yeah, I think that's it, and only 1 PVT data for the 2 regions. So I think that's all that I have to explain for the model. Okay, as we can see here from the result, the model has quite bad matching, as we can see here from the oil total, from the calculated model, and then from the historical data, it's not matching. Okay, for the water also, yeah, it's quite close but still not matching. So we have to do the history matching based on the uncertain parameters. So from the available data, I have compiled the uncertain parameters, especially for this model. As we can see here, we have permeability multiplier, fault transmissibility. Oh yeah, okay, I'm sorry, I forgot to explain. The model has 5 faults. So you can see here from the fault blocks, there are 5 faults right here in the model, each with its own transmissibility. So you can see here, these are the 5 faults of the model, and then each contains its own transmissibility value. So that's one point of the uncertainty for all the faults. So how we are going to incorporate these uncertainties? Okay, from the relative permeability also, there are some uncertainties for the values. So we can see here the minimum and maximum value of the uncertainty. For the LET parameters of the relative permeability, the rock compressibility is also uncertain. The aquifer is also uncertain, as you can see here. And the water oil contact is also uncertain. So how we're going to incorporate these variables for assisted history matching? What we are going to do first is to create a workflow. So we just press it right here. This is the workflow that's already been done. I will explain it one by one by creating a new workflow. Okay, so workflow is basically what the program will do, but for in terms of the assisted history matching, we're going to adjust the parameters. As you can see here, a lot of the workflow is adjustment types or settings, and yeah, but some of it, especially for the grid properties like permeability, we have to do the arithmetics or the calculation. So yeah, I'm just gonna create a new workflow right here. If it's still empty, it's okay. It's because you don't have your workflows yet. Just press it right here, add workflow, and then you name it. I'm just gonna name it workflow 1 right now. Okay. So what we are going to do first, just for the sake of this example, I will incorporate the permeability multiplier first. Okay, so for the permeability multiplier, basically we have to do the arithmetic calculation of the grid. So we just import the calculations or the process from this window. So there are a lot of calculations already designed to us to ease our permeability. Okay, so yeah, for the permeability, I'm just gonna see my before. So we have to do the arithmetics calculation. So we just press arithmetics. Okay, this is the calculation, and then we have to incorporate this to our workflow by pressing the calculation, the corresponding calculation, and press this insert. Okay, so this thing basically does the calculation of grid properties for us. I'm sorry. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Arithmetics. Okay. Wait a second. Property modeling. Okay. Sorry, this is the wrong workflow. Okay. So for the property modeling, you just select it from the property modeling section and then create, and then use property calculator. Okay. So the first one that we're going to do is to incorporate the permeability multiplier. So we are going to change the permeability. For this particular arithmetic type, we're going to change the X permeability for Vipnum 1. So we have to incorporate also the cut by Vipnum equals to 1. Okay, we're just going to prepare this. We're going to multiply our permeability with some multiplier. We call it perm1 as permeability multiplier for Vipnum 1. The multiplier ranges from 0.1 to 3. Okay, these are the variables. And how do I incorporate the variables? I'm just gonna click input variables and then click add variable. Okay, so I'm just gonna name it the same as what I have prepared, perm1. So I'm just gonna name it perm1. And then the value, the base value is 1, the minimum value is 0.1, and the maximum is 3. I'm just gonna assume that all distribution are uniform, but you can use other type of distribution, normal distribution, triangular, and other kinds of distribution, but I'm just gonna do uniform for now. 0.1, 2, 3. Okay, I think that's it. And I'm just gonna do it. Okay, so we have our variable perm1. Okay, so basically the arithmetics will do perm x as a result property will be equal to perm x times our created variables perm1. So we can select it from here, perm1. Okay, Just gonna save it as our first workflow, and then basically we will do it for all permeabilities. So I'm just gonna add, this is for the Y permeability, just gonna do the same. You can add from here and press this button again. Okay, here's how you delete a workflow, and you can duplicate. Okay, but now the result property is perm_y. So perm_y is equals to perm_y, the original perm_y, times our permeability multiplier variable. Okay, this is our second workflow. Then we're just gonna duplicate it and make it for the Z permeability. Okay, and now our first variable is done, so we're just gonna mark it. And then for the second permeability multiplier, it's exactly the same. So I think that's what the arithmetics will do. You can also do it for another type of grid properties, such as porosity maybe, or something else. You can do it like this if you have the uncertain variables, but for this example I only use permeability. Okay, so for the next workflows, we have our fault transmissibility for our fault blocks. So the workflow calculation name for the fault transmissibility is, I'm just gonna look at it, fault blocks mapping. Okay, so I'm just gonna go back to workflow 1 and search for fault blocks mapping. Okay, this is the calculation for fault blocks. Okay, so I'm just gonna we can also reorder the workflows by pressing here, by selecting one particular calculation and then move it up or down, just like this. Okay, so from our fault blocks mapping, as you can see here, we have no fault blocks mapping. We can get faults mapping from our model. Okay, our model is dynamic base, and then we're just gonna press this, and here's our fault blocks mapping, but the original transmissibility is 1, but from the uncertainty data we have values ranging from 0 to 1, and we will name it as F1 to F5 for each fault. So I'm just gonna make a new variable in the input variable, F1 to F5. So F1 will be ranging from 0 to 1 with the base value of 1. So I think that's how you do it. Okay, the minimum value is 0 and 1. Can you duplicate? Okay, just gonna add F2 ranging from 0 to 1, and F3 ranging from 0 to 1, F4 ranging from 0 to 1, and just gonna remind you, you can incorporate your distribution types, but from now on I'm just gonna use uniform distribution for all parameters. Okay, so we have our variable F1 to F5 for the fault blocks mapping. So our transmissibility multiplier is the variable, so we're just gonna put F1, the name of the variable, to the corresponding fault transmissibility multiplier. So as you can see here, the transmissibility multiplier is already reading our variable F1, because here the equal sign, it fetches, or it collects data from our variables bracket. Okay, so I'm just gonna do it F2 for fault 2, F3, and you can rename it as you wish, I think. Yeah, for example, if I rename F3 to ABC like this, as long as the variable names are the same. So as you can see, F3 is not is error because the machine doesn't know what F3 is, but the machine knows ABC. So you can see here, yeah, if you input ABC, it reads the input variables ABC. So we're just gonna rename it again to F3 and do everything to F5. Okay, so that's for the fault. I think that's all. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna do each calculation only once and then use my original workflow for the next process. Just gonna show you how to do each type of calculation. Okay, so fault is done for now, and then for the water oil contact, the workflow name is adjust equal table. Okay, so we're just gonna back to our new workflow and adjust equal table. So you can also do it for another type of parameters. Just you can choose it from this bracket of calculation. You can also actually you can also use the Python especially built for Tnavigator for custom workflows, but I'm just gonna do the original workflow given by Tnavigator. So yeah, like this. For example, you can use wait a second. Yeah, you can adjust like your propans maybe, or for another. Let me show you the example. So you can see here, you can incorporate your propan and then use variables as you have seen before. Basically, it's so intuitive, but you have to find your calculations here first. Okay, as you can see, you can maybe adjust the compaction or something like that for another calculation. But yeah, for now I just gonna adjust my equal table. So we have our water oil contact for fluid in place number 1. The variable name is WOC1, and then here's the minimum, maximum, and the mid or the base values. Just gonna use the values for the water oil contact 1. The value is, I'm just gonna put in the mid value of 1390 feet for the water oil contact. This is 1380 and 1400. Okay, so we have our variable WOC1. Okay, so I'm just gonna adjust the equilibrium table for the Vietnam one. So you can see here WOC1 edit. We're just gonna restore the values, and then for the pressure at the water oil contact. Okay, so I'm just gonna explain this. The datum pressure given is the datum pressure at water oil contact, but the water oil contact is a variable, so I'm just gonna change it to WOC1. But you can adjust it with your own given set of data. For example, if the datum depth is and the datum pressure is fixed, you can always incorporate the numbers. But for this particular case, is actually a special case. It is given that the datum pressure is the pressure at water oil contact, but the water oil contact is unknown. So it's uncertain. I'm sorry, it's uncertain. So yeah, I'm just gonna use the variable also for the datum depth. It's actually not physical, but yeah, we're just gonna continue from now on. you can incorporate your variables. That's what's important. So after you adjust your equilibrium table, you can move on to another set of variables. So I think for water level contact is done. Then we are going to do the aquifer properties. So for the aquifer properties, the workflow name is, sorry, it's really hard to remember, so I'm just gonna look at it again. So the aquifer type is Vetkovich. So yeah, you can also see from the dynamic model there are aquifers, and you can set your aquifer. Maybe for example you have Carter-Tracy aquifer or constant flux, you can incorporate the parameters in the model. I'm just gonna delete this constant flux and use the Vetkovich aquifer. Okay, so this is for the aquifer in Vipnum 1. I name it aquifer res1. I'm just gonna restore the value first, and then the uncertain variables are the initial water volume, total aquifer compressibility, and aquifer productivity index. So we're just gonna add those three variables into our input variables. Okay, the first one is W vol 1. The value is ranging from 1E09 to 2E011. Okay. Here to here. Okay. And the base value, I think it's the middle value that I have created before. Just gonna paste the value only here. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. Wait. I'm just gonna copy it and paste only the value. Okay. So this is the mid value, and I will put it as our base value for the volume in aquifer 1. Okay, the second one is total aquifer compressibility. Then we're just gonna add it as accomp1 ranging from here to here, and the value is the middle value. Okay, and then the last aquifer parameters is the productivity index. We name it ACPI1. The name is really up to you, it's customized. So as long as you type in the right name at your particular calculation, it's safe. Okay, so this is 47.5 as the base value. So we have our variables, and we're going now we are going to incorporate these variables into the calculation. Okay, so the initial water volume, the input variable is WVOL1. So we're just gonna type in here. Okay, it shows the value so that it's already been read and it's readable. And then compressibility is aquifer comp1. Okay, it's valid. Okay, and then the productivity index AQPI1. I'm sorry. Okay, I think that's for the aquifer. I think all aquifers are represented by the aquifer. So let's move on to permeability, relative permeabilities. Okay, for the relative permeability, the workflow name, calculation name is the adjust analytical RP table. Okay, so this is what you are going to use for for your analytical RP. Okay, just gonna adjust. So this falls under the dynamic model and adjust section. So yeah. Okay. So this this adjustment supports Cori or LET model, but for our given data is LET model. So yeah. Okay, we can get our values from our initial model. So our initial model is skull rock type 1 to 5. So we're just gonna uncheck the unneeded files. This is the RP that we're using, so yeah. Okay, so we got all our RP data. As you can see here. Okay, so we're just gonna configure what variables that we want to adjust. But for this, we're just going to adjust the SOR and then the LET values for the water and oil relative permeabilities. So for the gas relative permeability, we're just gonna uncheck all of them because it is not adjusted, it's already fixed. So I'm just gonna uncheck all of them. And for the RP parameters here, only the SOR and the LENT values. So the L is actually denoted by N right here. So NOW is actually LO. And then the NW is actually LW. Okay, this is the N value. Then the ENT are denoted the same. So this is the variables that have the uncertainty given. But because it's so long to input the variables to this, as you can see here, there's so many variables. I'm just gonna use my my old workflow for this. The method is the same as before. I'm just gonna use SOR1 for example. We enter our input variable SOR1 and then we get the values 0.1 to 0.15. Okay, I'm just gonna see the left 0.1 to 0.15, and then the base values, I forgot, just put it some value between here. I'm just gonna see, oh, this is 0.125 for rock type 1, maybe. Yeah, this is the rock type 1, so 0.125 as the base value. Okay, so this is SOR1. We're just gonna type SOR1 in here. Okay, so yeah, this equal sign and then the shown value denotes that our variables have already been incorporated into the calculation, and then we do it for all relative permeability parameters. As you can see here in my original workflow, I adjust all tables. So yeah, it's kind of long process. And then for the rock compressibility also the same as before. So you can see here our uncertain parameters are the datum pressure for rock compressibility and the rock compressibility value. So yeah, the workflow calculation name is the adjust rock compressibility. Just gonna show you the searching results. I'm sorry, rock. Okay, this is the row compressibility, and then you can input it in the workflow. So this is for my row compressibility 1 data. The pressure is the press 1. So you can see here my variable. Okay, so I'm just going to delete the third one, it's not needed. This is for the row compressibility 1 and 2. So we have our workflow adjusted for all uncertain parameters. This is the permeability, the fault transmissibility, the water contact, water oil contact for each VIPNUM, and the aquifer for each aquifer, and the RP table, and our compressibility. All uncertain parameters have already been incorporated in the workflow. So we are ready for our history matching process. So if you have created your workflow, your adjustment workflow, just save it and close it. Put click on create AHM project, then select the workflow. So we can see here my original workflow is the only workflow, and then I'm just gonna name my AHM project to whatever you like, but I'm just gonna name it to AHM project 2, and then I will use my current dynamic model for this particular calculation. So the dynamic model is, my current dynamic model is the, I think with aquifer 1, I suppose. Yeah, this is my current dynamic model with aquifer 1. So yeah, I'm just gonna run the assisted history matching using my workflow. Okay, so for this particular occasion, I will launch a tornado analysis to assess the variables that are needed. I mean, the variables that are really affecting the history matching results. Okay, so we can reduce our search space. Maybe using Pareto chart or tornado chart, we can see what variables that are really important for our analysis. Okay, so I'm just gonna run it and select OK. Okay. It will save the dynamic the dynamic model. Close view results for base model in order to proceed. Okay, I'm just gonna close it and then use my workflow as before. Okay, the tornado analysis. I think that's all. Workflow is selected. AHM project name is specified, and we're ready to go for the tornado project. I mean the tornado experiment. Okay. Just gonna wait until the AHM module is open, and then the experiments will run. Okay, the license are checking, and okay, I think that's it. This is the workflow in the AHM. Okay, this is our AHM module. So you can see here we have incorporated our variables to be adjusted in the AHM module. So as we can see here, it's already calculating all of the models. So I'm just gonna stop it. You can also adjust the simultaneously calculated models. As you can see, if you have a super strong computer, you can calculate maybe 10 models at once, but each running uses one sim license. So if you have only one sim license, you can only run one model at one time. But for this trial license, I have more than one, so I'm just gonna select maybe 3. calculations at the same time. Okay, so you can see here the simulator is running 3 simulation at the same time, but I'm just gonna stop the simulation right away and just show you the results before my computer crash. So I think it's already stopped. Okay, you can stop your experiment via this button right here in the calculation step. And I'm just gonna open my previously calculated tornado diagram in the AHM project 1 file. So I'm just gonna wait until the file is opened in the AHM. And after the tornado analysis, you can do your own optimization, or you can select the variables that are really affecting your history matching results. But let's wait until the file opened. We're just gonna close the AHM project 2, hoping that it doesn't add more loads to my computer right now. Okay, so project 1 is done. I actually have made several experiments, including the optimization, but I'm just gonna show you the tornado calculation, tornado experiment results. So you can see here we can select our tornado using the analysis tab. Okay, I actually have 100 results because we have 50 variables, more than 50 variables. So we have around 100 simulation results. So as we can see here, for the oil red mismatch, the variables affecting, we can select this to see what variables are affecting the oil red mismatch the most and how it affects it. Okay, so the green one shows if the, for example here, permeability multiplier 2 is maximized, the oil red mismatch is, it adds up, so it's kind of not good for the oil red mismatch. Okay, you can also add your own custom objective function. This is my objective function right here. By you can see also your own objective function, but for the original objective function in the AHM already exists here is oil red mismatch and until the gas total difference. These two objective functions are my own objective function. Okay, maybe you want to see what variables are affecting your personal or your custom objective function first. So this objective function well by well is actually new, so I want to see. Okay, so here is my objective function well by well. You can select from the top bottom right here. Okay, for in the settings tab you select your own objective function. In the second box you select your what objective function you want to add to the tornado chart. Okay, and then you press this green button. Okay, add. You can also move the parameters to the top, or in the graph it will be on the left, as you can see here. So the variables affecting my custom objective functions are WOC1 and some variables aren't affecting the results at all, maybe, judging by the size of the tornado chart. You can also use the Pareto chart, but I think that's all for the uncertainty analysis. You can do your analysis from here, and the most importantly, you have learn how to incorporate your uncertain variables into the workflow and run the AHM experiments. After this, you can do your uncertainty analysis and maybe optimize the results of the history matching. I think that's it. And you can also do it for optimization, actually, depending on the needs. And yeah, you can do it the assisted history matching. Thank you for your attention, and I'm sorry for any mistakes that I made in this video. I hope it's useful for doing assisted history matching. Thank you.